Hi guys, so Keir Starmer and the British government have constantly told us that Donald Trump and the United States are a friend or friends of the United Kingdom. But if we go the other side, is the UK a friend of the United States? Well, Borders czar Tom Homan doesn't seem to think so. Have a listen to this.
There are reports out of London that British intelligence is no longer sharing intelligence with the US following grave concerns about legality of operations in the Caribbean. Could you confirm that, and what is your reaction to the idea that a key ally like the UK is so sceptical of the legality of your operations?
First of all, it's out of my lane, but I don't think the UK is a friend of this country, a friend of the president. I don't think there's skepticism, and I'm not familiar with not sharing intelligence. Again, out of my lane. I'm a border guy, so that's a question for Pete Hegseth or the Secretary of State.
Okay, this has nothing to do with me. It's to do with the Defense Secretary or the Secretary of War or whatever he's called now. I still think, Tom has some role to play here. But to suggest that the UK is not a friend of the United States and not a friend of Donald Trump. So we keep hearing from the UK side that, yes, Donald Trump and the United States is a friend of the United Kingdom, but it seems to be on the other side, it's not the case. Now, is this guy speaking for the Trump administration? Well, we have to assume that he is, because he's part of the Trump administration. So why is this guy saying that the UK is not a friend of the United States? Is it because, as he knows, the UK have said that they're going to suspend sharing intelligence with the United States when it comes to carrying out attacks on boats in the Caribbean, in the sea, without providing people with due process, because the UK does not want to be involved in breaking international law. The Tories were happy about breaking international law in a limited and specific way, but if another country that the UK is allied to is breaking international law, they don't want to be involved there, and they're not going to link themselves to the breaking of international law, because we know that Donald Trump will not be around forever. Donald Trump will eventually go away and his administration will disappear. But it does not mean that crimes will be forgotten. And if certain individuals within the Trump administration are breaking international law, they will one day face justice. Not today, not tomorrow, but one day it will happen. And if other countries are facilitating that breach of international law, they could be facing trials as well. They could be facing jail time, and they don't want to be doing that. So they're not suspending all communications with the US when it comes to intelligence. They're not stopping all intelligence sharing. Of course not. They wouldn't do that. But when it comes to this specific case of blowing up boats in the sea without providing the individuals involved due process, which of course is not following the law, then the UK does not want to be involved there. But isn't it interesting how on this side of the pond we have to constantly pander to Donald Trump? He's a massive man-child. We have to, give him his sweeties, wave shiny things in front of him, tell him that constantly how a wonderful president he is. He's the greatest president in the United States history, maybe with the exception of Washington. No, he was even better than Washington. It's like he was the greatest golfer, greatest this, greatest that, greatest businessman. He's the most athletic, fittest president in history. All of this pandering has to be done in order to keep him on board. And then what does his administration do? Insults everyone else. Insults the UK here. It's not a friend. Maybe that's not an insult. Maybe it's the reality. But it's not generally something politicians are supposed to say. But we've seen it before. J.D. Vance, the vice president, coming to Europe and insulting European nations. Trying to undermine elections in European countries. Favouring Putin over European allies. And people, maybe not politicians, but people connected to the Trump administration, criticising organizations within the European Union and within the United Kingdom. And then, of course, we have the issue with the BBC and Donald Trump. And we even have people within GB News and their friends in Fox News pandering to Trump, egging him on. So it is a bit strange that you have somebody in a senior position within the Trump administration who could have just simply said, look, I don't know what you're talking about, that's not my field, and just leaving it at that. But no, he added his own bit of, no, well, the United Kingdom is not a friend of the United States and not a friend of Donald Trump. Will it make any difference? Of course not. The pandering will continue. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.